All right, hello everybody. My name is Dr. Cheryl Meyer, and today we're going to look really deeply on how to not go back to toxic relationships. Really understand why people go back to toxic relationships. Right when I said that, I saw this sweet couple over here. I love that. They're just all loving towards each other, and why not? Why not have a loving relationship even if you're in a quote toxic relationship right now? My mom used to say to me, because we grew up in Texas, she used to say, the closer you get to Wellsville, the weller your feller will be. And it's just this funny saying, but it's helped me a lot along the way. I'm like, I'm going back to therapy, because it's so much easier to blame other people and to think it's their fault because we can see it in other people. And we just think if they would show up and be emotionally available to us, if they would stop running, stop going to superficial things, if they would stop going to their addictions or stop hurting us or whatever. But it's like, wait, why are we addicted to them leaving their addiction? And again, none of this, when I say anything like this, I am not at all saying to blame yourself. This is the narcissist always wants you to blame yourself and take the responsibility for all the bad, and you're not responsible for all the bad. I had another therapist friend that's in my office that was just asking me about, why do narcissists do this? Why do they do that? And we all want to understand, but I don't always I like showing this angel sometimes. Aren't those pretty? I don't always want to focus on the narcissist. So, but let's understand some of these patterns. And I've talked about a lot of this in different videos in different ways. If you want to start taking self-responsibility for your own self to heal some of these patterns so you can get closer to Wellsville, like my mom would talk about. She did therapy as well. I have a whole year, a playlist called Sessions with Dr. Cheryl, and I can't call them like sessions. Like, I can't be your psychologist online, but I've studied this for 9 years, and I've been doing this for over 20 years. And so I put everything I could in a whole year worth of sessions, you guys. I think there's 60 hours, so you could do 1 a week, sometimes 2 a week if you wanted to, or binge, whatever. But I don't recommend maybe like just going back to back to back to back, because, well, whatever. Sometimes we just try to run to all these healing techniques, and it's just like, be present with yourself. The whole work-life balance, therapy life balance. All right, but today we're here. So that's an option, is look for that playlist and just start at the beginning and get a journal. Like, I have my journal here, and look, you are worthy of new beginnings. And I just picked this up somewhere and start writing what's coming up for you. That's one way to do that. So, but back here, we're talking about how to not return to toxic relationships. Well, because I'm always studying this and I'm always looking at it and I'm always wanting to understand more, and I welcome all people of all religions. I happen to be a Christian, but I'm not one of those Christians that alienates people. I'm really very mystic and understanding and deep, and so I understand there's all these nuances. I won't say, oh, that's all good. I won't do that, but what I was going to say is, so I'm always listening. Oh yeah, it says in the Proverbs or something, look for wisdom like you're looking for gold. So wisdom, get knowledge, get wisdom, get understanding. It tells us to do this. And so even the word philosophy, the word in Greek, because I took Greek, philos is about love, and Sophia is the word for wisdom. So the real true philosophy, it's like there's this saying that says all truth is God's truth. When you find truth, you're describing an aspect of God. Now, there's lies in this world that can be wrapped in truth, and then it will seem true. And so you have to be really discerning what is truth and what is just, there's vain philosophies that will teach you how to do everything just by yourself, and you don't need any God. And I was speaking to a person the other day at a gathering, like a party at one of my friends' houses. She was, I live near Los Angeles, and so there was something going on in Los Angeles. But I don't know what day you get this, so I try not to date my videos, but there were people affected by some kind of big happening up there, and so she was having this get together for like, come down here to where we are in the OC. And anyway, so I can't say now what happened because I don't want to identify this person, but anyway, maybe it'll come up later in the video. Because I just identified where, well, I guess this is a generic thing. So I can say a man or a woman, a person, this is just a generic thing. So you can see this anywhere, was saying like, well, I don't think there is a God or whatever. And it's like, well, you know, sometimes this is what came up in that conversation, and this will help us not return to toxic relationships. Sometimes I say to my kids, like, you wake up and you're in this house and you experience your bed and your room and a bathroom and food being in the refrigerator and all this stuff, and you just assume like it's yours, but I'm the one paying the mortgage and paying, you know, for all this stuff and making sure it gets here and that I go get it or whatever. And so it's like we live on this earth, and they say, you know, if the earth was tilted just like 1 degree this way, all these things would fall apart and humans couldn't exist on this planet. Well, like that, it happened. I know that. Anyway, I'm not getting into a big debate, but one of the things I was going to say that really has helped me in talks about learning how to not go back to toxic relationships and why we go back, or what pattern are we playing out by going and returning back to these, so that, you know how they say when you know better, you do better. It's like not just knowing here. You want to, okay. All right, hold on. Let me see. Let me write this down. Know, and then there's one more deeper layer that it's so important. It's vital that we get to this place, or else it's just head knowledge and we keep repeating the same thing over and over, like a dog returns to its vomit. You know, that's a really good image right there. There's a proverb that says the foolish person is like the dog that returns back to its vomit. Well, why does a dog return to vomit? Obviously it's thinking, maybe I can eat this food that I just threw up, you know. And it's like, and so that's what I call like a scrap mentality, where I'm only worth scraps. It has to do with lack. I think in this lack idea. And so sometimes in childhood, okay, I just want to make sure to remind myself to talk to you guys about the eagle and the crow. Okay, that was the example I was going to give you. But sometimes let's go this here. In childhood, okay, if here's the parent and here's the child, this is really, sometimes I forget that people don't have this basic knowledge. It's basic, but it's just profound. Your whole life can change after you understand this and start noticing it. You'll notice it after we've talked about it. All right. And that was not hypnotism. We used to think our supervisor hypnotized us so that we would be better psychologists, but he didn't. But anyway, all right. So if here's the parent and here's the child, and you're used to, you know, I'm 2 years old, I can't make my own macaroni and cheese, so I'm asking the parent. And if the parent's chaotic or turns their back to you, or is really demanding, or is narcissistic and everything's about them and they don't have time, or whatever it is, you learn to try to please them, to try to just shut down your feelings and emotions, like they're not worth you knowing, or you get in a fear response. So any of the fear responses will do here. You get anxious about it. So if you think of, I added 2 more that are, normally people say fight, flight, freeze. Okay. So you can understand that. You try to fight them. You try to like yell at them or your parents and like try to beg them, that's another one, but you're trying to get them to bring you what you actually ought to have, is like food and care and being known and affection and feeling safe and all of those beautiful things that we would want any child to have, right? There's not, okay. And so, oh, I just realized I have an office mate. She put all these plants in my office. It's okay. They're real. So that's good. At least they're not fake, but there's a heart. So I love hearts. Like, I'm always doing this, like follow your heart, I wear this to remember, drop down from your head into your heart, because there's so much more life that comes from your heart, right? And so, but right now we're figuring this out too. So we're gaining understanding, wisdom and understanding. We're following the precept in the Proverbs of gaining wisdom and understanding. So it's so great when you're doing that. All right. So thank you, God. We invite you into this. All right. And so, okay. When you're like this, and oh yeah, the 5 F's is fight. So we'll try to fight people around us to try to manipulate them or get them to try to give us what we feel like we've been missing. Fight, flight, we just run away and shut down, and then we get depressed because everything's shut down. That's depressed. It's depressed down this juicy heart because you don't think it's going to be there anyway. So you press it down, and then you don't feel all the pain, but you also don't feel all the joy and the love, and it's not fun. It's not fun. I heard when you have enough, N-U-F, love, then you have fun. This is just this Jewish supervisor, Dr. Circus taught me that. But so fight, flight, freeze, you just freeze, and you're like just waiting for things to change, but you're not mobile, you're not active and what you can do to create change. Or you please, some people call it fawn, so you can have all these F's, the 5 F's. Or fret, this is the other one I added. Maybe we can do one for beg. I'll just put F for next time, but anyway, beg. It'll be the 6 F's. Anyway, but fret is like you're just worried about it all the time. And so those are just when we're normal in life, okay? Instead of seeing everybody as equal, right? These are all equal people, right? Sometimes they'll trigger something in us. Like if someone says you're worthless or you're not smart or whatever, and our parents would say that, and that's not worked out of us. We don't have our identity rooted in the fact that Christ died for us, or rooted in a higher understanding that you are worth more just because the Creator created you and put a soul in you and breathed life into you. Like that's worth so much more. Or even just a basic understanding, even if you don't believe in that there's any God or anything. It's like if you found a baby in a dumpster, and you found that baby, like you'd wrap the baby up and hold the baby and make sure here in America we could take the baby to a fire station and they will ask no questions and make sure to place the baby in a family that wants a baby, right? If you didn't want to adopt that baby, I don't know, you go through the steps, but you wouldn't go, you're worthless. You wouldn't say, you're dumb. Even if the child grew up and did something dumb, you wouldn't label them. That's like a character assassination, to name them and label them something like that. And so it's like you'd find a more loving way to correct whatever, if they failed a test, that doesn't mean they're dumb. It could mean a lot of different things. So it's like you would love on that child. And just as you know that child is worth that good treatment with integrity, respect, dignity, kindness, thoughtfulness, discipline, yes, boundaries, yes, encouragement, all of these good things. It's like, why don't we give that to ourselves? We'll go back to here when it didn't happen in a healthy way here. So someone will say something like, you're dumb, and all of a sudden we can get into our egotism and put them in the parent position, and it's like, we'll try to fight them. This is fight of trying to justify ourselves. I'm not dumb. I wrote all these books. Look, I wrote my book. It came out. That's not what I was. And so my book just came out called 12 Ways to Heal from Trauma. If you want that, and if you want the free thing, is just go on my YouTube channel and look up it. This is the same. I took it from the thumbnail. I took this picture when I was on a hike. And so just look this up, 12 Ways to Heal from Trauma, Dr. Cheryl Meyer, and you can watch an hour and 15-minute video or some hour and 20-minute, or read this 400-page book I have links in it. I I have links in it like this. When I'm talking about something, I have links to some of the videos if I was talking about the subject on a deeper level in the book. Anyway, I'm so excited about it. But that just came up because when someone says you're dumb, it's like, no, I'm not. I wrote a book. I wrote that book. Blah blah blah. It's like, wait, why do I have to explain this? Why do I have to justify my existence or that I am smart? Why do they have to know that? If they're just another person on this earth. And you know how God showed it to me one time. I call it God because I was in a meditation on scripture, and I was in a really quiet place connecting, talking to God. And so it could be like this, but it's what happened was I drove by, and I made a video on this, a 1-minute video, I think, because one time I drove by the same wall and I gave my phone to I said, pick up my phone, my kid, because I'm driving, so I didn't want to make a video. But I'm like, take a picture of this wall, because this wall goes on and on and on for, it seems like a quarter of a mile or half a mile of just rocks. And so God was showing me this, not the time when my kid was in, but I wanted it on video. And so, but it's like, if you think of all these flowers, is just every single person is just another flower on this thing. Some act like they're bigger, or some seem like they're bigger in this world or smaller. But what does it matter? Like this little flower right here might grow into this when it matures. And so we don't know. C.S. Lewis says, if we actually saw someone in their glorified state as they're going to be, because when we are, anyway, that we would be tempted to worship them. They're so beautiful, right? And so that's why I got my nails done like this, because it's like we're iridescent, our soul is, and God is transforming us. He's transforming us. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And it's not the word mind. In Greek, it's the word nous, which is your perception, your understanding, your insight. That's what we're doing right now. We're renewing your mind. All right, we're helping you, and you can choose. I'm not you. You always use discernment from everything I say. Follow the logic and understand if it's correct, and ask yourself, and ask, because Plato says everything we learn is just remembering. And so I'm actually just reminding you of what we knew. We somehow, I think we have some way to know truth, but if we kept buying in this lie that we're worthless, then it can blind our eyes. But you have a deeper knowing inside of that. Anyway, okay, so we're building all the building blocks for this. And so I saw this wall that just had a bunch of stones, and God was showing me, this person, why are you putting so much weight in if this person likes you or not? It doesn't matter. They're just another stone on this wall. But it's like when you put them in the parent position, that's different than like if you go to school. When you're in elementary school, we have like 5 different teachers sometimes, or no, that's junior high. We'd go to different classes. You have an English teacher, a Spanish teacher, and it's like, it doesn't matter if, let's say, if one teacher doesn't like you, but if you get triggered by someone, or you're in an intimate relationship of some kind, like they're your best friend, or you're dating someone, or you're married to someone, we automatically will, until you know better and are more conscious about this and aware, we put them in a parent position, and all of a sudden we're like a child. And so we will try to talk them into showing up in a different way, or stop hurting us, but it's like, okay, so now you understand that yes, when I'm a child, my parent is meant to teach me my worth and treat me with kindness and love. And then I learned to internalize a good, this is psychology language, you internalize a good parent, and you internalize your real understanding of your worth, and you treat yourself according to that. Now, if they neglected us all the time and then just gave us a bunch of candy, then no wonder if we grow up, and this is not an excuse for us, and go, oh, I'm just going to run to addictions. I'm going to run to all these superficial relationships where I never have real intimacy, but we both use each other and we agree to do that. And some of them are really disguised. They don't look like you're using the person, but you are. Like it's, but anyway, and I'm not judging anyone. You see would you want your own daughter or son to make those choices? If you wouldn't, then ask yourself in a kind way, why am I following this? Why am I giving myself this option to be an option for someone else to go cheat on you or whatever else, whatever. And so it often goes down to, well, I know my son or daughter is worth that. But then why aren't you worth that? Even if you were someone else's son or daughter, right? And they didn't treat you like you were worth that in whatever way they didn't, by their inconsistency or neglect, or their own unconsciousness in their life. That does not mean that's your worth. You can learn how to understand a different level of worth, and you're not making it up like I'm worth the whole world's revolving around me. It's not like that. No. Even if you're not a Christian, okay, just follow this for a second. Just let go of egotism and religious jargon and stuff. If Christ is real, if he was the God man, and if he left heaven to come down here and live a perfect life, because God is perfect and demands perfection, and we can't be that, or we haven't been. I know I haven't been. So it's like, if God left heaven to come pursue you, to give you his perfection, because in the Jewish way, there's a verse in the Old Testament somewhere, and I think in the New Testament as well, it says, if you accept a righteous person, and I learned this from either a rabbi or one of my Jewish friends, I can't remember, but they said, if you accept a righteous person into your house, their righteousness goes to you. It's like a cloak of righteousness. It's not hiding your old sins. It's like their righteousness is counted to you because you welcomed them into your house. Well, the Bible says your heart is a living temple, a temple of God. And when you invite Christ to come in and be your righteousness, then God sees you through his son, Christ, who was perfect for us. Okay, so anytime I question my worth, or I'm like, oh, I'm going to some old programmed idea of my worth, it's like, wait a second, sit and don't just tell myself the words. What does it mean? Like, sit for an hour every day, 7 days a week, for a month if it takes that long, to go, what does it mean that Jesus left heaven? And there's all these people and verses, like C.S. Lewis has it in this book, Paralandria. It's like, I think it's Paralandria. It's like, if you were the only person on this planet, Christ still would have left heaven to come die for you. It's so profound, but it's like, you can't have a higher worth than that. I could have billions of dollars in my bank account right now, and my worth is not higher than the person next to me who already has that worth, because Christ died it says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever shall believe in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. When you invite him in, he starts transforming you into who you were always created to be, this iridescent, shiny soul self, that C.S. Lewis says we would, he says the ones that go down, devolve, not like the ones that choose the opposite way, would be an absolute horror if we saw them in their spiritual form, a nightmare. But this is not judging people. This is why we're never meant to judge, because you have no idea. It doesn't matter what people are calling themselves on the outside, a Christian or a Baptist or Methodist or Catholic or whatever. It's like, or Orthodox. I'm like, what was Jesus? Like, Jesus was Orthodox. He wasn't a label. He was Orthodox. Doxy is like practice, I think, and it just means right practice. He walked in love. He walked in love all the time. All right. And so that's what it's not a label. I have some like dear saints and people that have helped me. Like I got to correspond with Metropolitan Callistos Ware. He's this Orthodox priest that's passed away now, but like, I mean, I have respect for so many people and all the different divisions of Christianity, and then people outside of it. Like, I'll make videos, and there's this one guy on TikTok, and his videos are just like mine. And I know he's like Buddhist or something. And it's really weird because I'm speaking of it all from this Christian perspective, but I can just see, and C.S. Lewis talks about this in Mere Christianity. So go read him if you don't want to blame, like, don't get mad at me. I'm a messenger. He says, We don't know what God is working on underlying in each person to develop their soul. And he said some people are already his, but haven't yet called themselves by the name. And other people have walked away from Christianity, even clergy, he said, but they're still calling themselves by that name. And so it, like, just imagine this. It's like if you are a priest or a pastor and you have all this unhealed trauma in your life from this, and you keep treating people horribly because of your unhealed trauma, then it's like you've been walking away from the Christ that you first invited into your heart, into your temple. And so when Christ comes in you just want to be loving, you want to be good, and you want to let all of this old stuff break away and break off of you. You don't want to hurt people, you don't want to ghost people, and you don't want to be anxious and chasing after someone and thinking, hey, you have my worth, you have my worth, give it to me. No, that person does not have your worth. The other person, whoever this is, the narcissist, does not have your worth. And so what we want to do is don't be mean to yourself, but understand where you're blindsided, okay? Where it's just taking the blinders off. And there's a verse about that. Of course there is, but anyway, I can't teach you the whole Bible all at once. Let's work at these concepts, okay? Because we're building on each other. So when you're here and the parent, steps on you or whatever, mistreats you or ignores you or has to work 2 jobs just to get by, or not has to, but thinks that this is how the way the world operates, instead of like, let's move to a different state where it's cheaper to live and I can just have 1 job and be present with you every day after school and blah, blah, blah. They don't think like that because the world just says you need to work harder. And I have a little post-it note that says work smarter, not harder, but to remind myself there's sometimes a different solution that we didn't see because the world keeps saying to chase after money and this is the only way you can have it. And the world system is set up to keep people so that often they are in poverty. And John 10:10 covers this. Jesus said, the thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy. I have come that you may have life and have it abundantly. All right. That's the word Zoe. That's the word that C.S. Lewis was talking about. That he's the one that wrote the Narnia books that says when you have this Zoe life, this is the word for life, then he said it's different from bios, your biological life, and Zoe life. And so God wants to raise you up and give you real life, vibrant life within you, so that your eternal soul is changed back into what you were always meant to be. All right. And so he's doing that underneath. So none of us are to judge because we don't know what's going on underneath someone. All right. But we're talking about not returning to toxic relationships. Okay. And so when we feel crushed as a child, we go into that fear and panic mode. And so we just do whatever we can to try to get, because all we know how to do is try to get this person to show back up. So that's a pattern that's familiar, our family of origin familiar. And so we learn to keep repeating that in childhood. And so if someone calls us dumb, all of a sudden we can go back down to this place of going, wait, am I dumb? Or I have to deal with like comments and stuff that people will put sometimes. One came up today from like New Year's that someone said, and I won't say what the date is now, but that was a while ago. Like, and why is this coming up? And it's like, oh, wait, okay, they don't have anything on my definition. I was feeling insecure about something, and then that comment came back. I'm just like, and I'm gonna get water. I can put it in here and drink it. Okay, so I don't like showing any brands of anything ever, but I have this cup with me, so it's clear. Jesus says, I am the living water. Whoever drinks of me, in you will flow living fountains of life. Of everlasting life. That's the word Zoe again, right? And so God is inviting you to something so much better than these toxic relationships. But we don't know, or like I was saying earlier, we don't know our worth. We think that we internalized, oh, I must be worth. Someone always has to be gone on their addictions if our parents are addicts, or gone working so hard. And so you might become a workaholic and I have to go work 2 jobs, and then you're never present with yourself, because if you're working 2 jobs full time, it's like all you have time to do is sleep, and sometimes we do that because again, if our parents were doing that, they're teaching us by their actions, you're not worth me being present with. Not, they can say, I love you, and they could say, I'm really sorry about this, but it has to be this way. So you could get yourself in situation after situation where you keep treating yourself that same way, ignoring and saying, it has to be this way, I'm sorry. But you're really repeating this message that you're not worth more. And again, if I wouldn't want to do this to my own child, my best friend, my sister, my brother, whom I love, then why am I justifying acting like this for myself? Now, okay, so go ahead and remember, like the child has to go, can you make me macaroni and cheese? I'm hungry, or whatever. Let's say it's homemade with really fresh pasta that's create anyway, because I'm trying to think of a healthy food, like, get me my apple juice, whatever. And so you learn to keep trying to get this person to do it because you see yourself as a child. When you go, wait a second, look in the mirror, I can look in the mirror and go, wait, I'm not a child anymore. I'm a little over 18, or 13 if you think of bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah. I'm able to make my own food. So look, okay, in a toxic relationship, if you get triggered and put yourself back in this child position and they are the good parent where I learn my love from, where I get all the sun shines through them, it's like they're just another person. Excuse me. If I see, wait a second, I'm an adult, I may not know how to, so let's say I'm this adult now, I may not know how to be loving towards myself because I didn't learn that, it wasn't modeled to me, but I would figure it out. I would learn how to do it for a child, wouldn't I? And so it's okay if I'm awkward at it. It's okay if it's a new neural pathway. It's okay that I'm going to the unfamiliar. Oh, wow. If you go back on my Instagram a few months, I don't know, maybe up to a year back, one day I had this, and a song, of course, Holy Spirit speaks to me through songs. This song came to me so strong. And it's like, long live the pioneers, rebels and mutineers. Da da da. Hey, 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 living like we're renegades, renegades. There's other therapists in my office, so I can't sing really loud, or I won't because I don't want to disturb their sessions. But such a good song, and I put it out. You can see it. I'm sure it's on YouTube as well, the song, but it's the song Renegades, and it's like, long live the pioneers. I felt it so strongly. I was almost like bawling when I was playing it for us because it felt like I needed to play it really loud and like, and I listened to it really loud because it's like, you are a pioneer. You're leaving this old familiar. Some people call it a generational curse breaker. You're leaving this lie that you're not worth, and you're leaving, trying to talk them into seeing your worth, because this just keeps you in addiction. Okay, just like they're addicted, like let's say if our spouse is an alcoholic, they're addicted to going to this thing. Well, if you keep going and tapping on their shoulder while they're tapping on the alcohol's shoulder, look, you're doing the same behavior. When you detach and stop doing that behavior and stop going, oh, well, then I can only get nothing, I can get scraps. No, you're meant to show up as an other, sort of this loving person that goes, hey, let's stop. Let's say you spent 2.5 hours every day in your mind, either berating them or going, I wish they would turn around, or thinking of texts you would send them, or sending them texts, or nagging them, or whatever. That's 2 hours that you didn't think you had in a day to like sit down with yourself in the sun and just like be, and just be like, hey, what feelings are coming up? And you are deeper than those feelings. And look, it's 33 minutes in right now. Like that's how old Jesus was when he died for us, right? They say he died at 33. All right. And so, and then other people have tried to take that number. Anyway, I won't go into that, but Jesus showed us how to be loving. And so he says, a new commandment I give unto you, love as I have loved you. So start learning how to love. And you do that by stop running after your addiction, which is, now, of course, these other people, like maybe there are lots of things in their lives that they ought to change, but you are not a child anymore. You see that? You're not a child. And so, Gandhi said this, be the change you wish to see in this world. And Jesus said it, but people don't realize, they can read these verses over and over again, but he said it, take the log out of your own eye And then you will see clearly to remove the speck out of your brothers. Then whatever they're doing is just like a little speck. It doesn't even bother you anymore because you're not without all this love and nurturing. And you're like, well, what does this relationship with myself mean? It's like, it doesn't mean I just go take myself to get my nails done or something. That could be part of it. But it's like, it means allowing the scared child to come up, allowing this, I feel really frightened right now. I feel like I have to go try to talk them into loving me. I feel like I have to show them I'm not dumb. Look, I wrote a book. That's not why I wrote it, but it's like I have to do this and that and this. And it's like, all that energy you're expending is energy that, if we say, give us this day our daily bread, we have 100 units of energy. You might be spending 80 trying to get other people to see your worth, when it's like, you see your worth, and like Jesus already showed you your worth. Sit in that, like enter in. I'm getting the song again, long live the pioneers, and it's like hey, 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 living like we're renegades. Something ambassadors, I think, who sings that, right? We are ambassadors from heaven. That's actually, so that's cool. Anyway, it's all about forging this new path, and it's so exciting. It's exhilarating. You realize, wait, I had the power to change this the whole time, because when you're a child, you learn and learn and learn that you can't change it. You have to try to get them to change. And so we're in that pattern, and you don't have to. And so it's like if you find an unavailable person to date, and then they're dating an unavailable person, it's just, all of it's just this one cycle. They keep running after the same pattern. Well, you break the pattern, and if they come back, then they come back. If they don't worry. You are this to yourself. And what they say is like, this is a guy named Devotions with DeMarcus on YouTube that I really like, that he's like, what you tune into, you turn into, and like they say, like attracts like. When you keep being addicted to this person, and their pattern, you're doing the same pattern. And so it's like, when you stop doing that pattern, you won't be attracted to addicts anymore. And okay, so back to the crow and the eagle. Okay, so I learned this from a sermon, go figure, because I'm always listening for how to solve this problem, right? Look, I have heart, I think a diamond. Yeah, but anyway, I learned truth is a many-sided diamond, like the facets on a diamond. You're learning from all these different angles, so we can take it. And so this guy came and visited this church I'm at, and he was talking about a crow can only fly up to 2,000 feet. I think this is the feet, but right? An eagle can fly higher. Now a crow will keep pecking on the neck of the eagle. And if the eagle turns, then its heart's exposed and the crow can get at it. You know how everyone says, protect your peace, right? If the eagle just flies higher, then the crow can't keep pecking at them and bugging them. And it's like, and it might take energy to exert your wings or whatever, catch the wind. That the word for Holy Spirit is breath, is wind. It's like wind in Greek and Hebrew. Pneuma in Greek, and Hakodesh is anyway. I said it in one of the videos I made for last week, so you can watch that. I haven't uploaded it yet, but I already made it. So Ruach Hakodesh, the Ruach, the holy breath. And so it's like the breath, the spirit, the wind, all right? So catch the wind like the eagle. The Holy Spirit will bring you up, even if you don't know that there is one. It's like God made you, so you're already made in the image and likeness of God. All right, so when you go up higher, when you take this log of, wait, why do I keep going to them? And I wrote this whole list today. Oh, it was hard. It was not easy. Of, wait, why do I, I'll be honest, why did I, until today, right? Until today, let's break this cycle. Why did I keep going back to them? And it's like, just ask yourself honestly. You can pause this if you want to ask yourself, what am I looking for in that other person? Am I looking? And it's natural for us to go back to where things broke down in childhood and want a happily ever after. Some people come in here and they think I'm going to do that for them. I'm like, no, I am just a psychologist, and I help you see, I walk with you as you can see how to learn. I mean, of course I'm loving and I model loving behavior, but it's like, and I show them their worth by how I treat them with respect and dignity, but they get to, um, and no wonder I wanted to make all these videos for free for all these years, for 5 years, because I didn't want it to be transactional. I didn't want people to feel like they had to pay for this because, but it's like, but also I need to make a living, right? So, but, but I'm on God's payroll. He's already shown me that he pays me all these different ways, but it's, so I do this for God, not, but because I love you too, but anyway, but Jesus, so it's like, like salvation is free, but it cost him his life and it cost me all this time. It costs any of us, but Jesus says die every day and he will resurrect us every day. Die to our old self, our self that says you need to be doing something that makes you more money. It's like, no, take some time every day to give back to other people, but not to try to derive your worth from it, because you could be trying to please this imaginary parent in the world, right? And you're trying to get them to see you're a good person, like virtue pointing, whatever that word is. I don't know what that is. Anyway, so I'm not trying to do that at all. But so go back to when you fly higher, when you learn about this. Oh yeah, okay, I made this list. All right, so you can do that. Push pause and look at the list of why do I keep going back to this other person? And it's like, oh, if I keep thinking they're like my unavailable parent, then I'm a child again. I'm helpless. I don't have to try to do something different. I don't have to change. I can just keep begging and blaming. And but guess what? When I don't change, when I don't go, wait a second, there's this other part of me that's an adult that can be loving towards this child instead of waiting for it in someone else, then what if I try that and I find out that she's not worth or he's not worth? What if I stop trying to beg from someone else? And it's like, but what if you find out she is worth what Jesus showed you you're worth, what God shows you you're worth? What if she is, and there's this whole verse that says, beloved, let us love one another. Oh, good. I got an indication because I knew I had another meeting, but I didn't know if my clock was off. Let's love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loves is born of God and knows God. When you love not, you know not God, for God is love. So when you actually start loving, being genuinely loving, not indulging yourself and not going, hey, let's just get you another 6-pack for that, and I'm not, Jesus turned water into wine. So I'm not saying some people can drink moderately, I'm not against that myself personally, but, but if we keep trying to put another Band-Aid over ourselves and go, oh, I'm taking care of myself this way, by shopping, by this, by scrolling all day long, by whatever else we run to, in an inordinate way, we're using them in a disproportionate way, something that was meant to be good, or like hooking up with one person after another, or just, anyway, I won't go into all that. Like I've already talked about that in some videos. It's hard to talk about that stuff. I don't mind though. Look, I'm turning red. Okay. So, when you, I don't recommend quick fixes. I recommend a real, loving, intimate, like that picture that I had over there, right? A real courtship and a marriage relationship. It's so beautiful. And I'm not going to go back on that, because anyway, but with the right person, okay? Just like we started with, the closer you get to Wellsville, the weller your feller will be, or either your woman. We've got to think of a woman way to say that. But anyway, the Wella, your Stella, no, your Bella, the Wella, your Bella will be your beautiful, your beautiful partner. And some people want to be single their whole lives, whatever. So, but anyway, so look at, honestly, and I was just sharing some of the ways that I was like, whoa, and when you keep blaming the other person, you're repeating childhood, and you're just like, please, will you be my good dad? Will you be my good mom? And you're so used to asking them to do this instead of you be that. You were always worth that. You You are always worth that. Psalm 27:10 says, when my father and mother forsake me, the I am that I am, the Lord picks me up. He picks me up and shows me how to love. So that's why I was saying that verse. When you love, you know how God is, because God is love. So you're experiencing that love, divine love. All right, I got to wrap this up. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. Much love.